So-called Christians do not believe in the Bible.
1 Peter 2:11, a woman ought to remain in silence. It's a text out of context, because when God said it, the women at the time at the church of Corinth and in the other churches, they were practicing prostitution outside of the church. And they were coming in deceiving the men. So God says, for a season, I need the women to be quiet so I can talk to the men. He did not mean for women in 2024 to be silenced in the church of God. And how do I know? Because when Jesus got out of the grave, Peter and John were asleep. It was a woman named Mary. And can I tell you, the first gospel message was preached by a woman, because Jesus said, Mary, go tell my disciples and Peter that I'm alive.
Right, and when she did that, she did not usurp authority over them. She simply passed on the message. But nevertheless, in 1 Timothy, not 1 Peter, 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 11, let's read it. It says, let the woman learn in silence with all subjection, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. So the context of this is Paul writing to Timothy, as Timothy is left in Ephesus to lead that church. 1 Timothy 1 verse 3, as I besought thee to abide still at Ephesus. When you read Acts chapter 19, what was going on in Ephesus? They were worshiping the goddess Diana, right? Great is Diana of the Ephesians. That was what? Feminism. So Timothy had to enforce that, to shut that down. That's the context. Now let's go back to chapter 2 and verse 12. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. So notice how Paul makes this point and then points to Genesis with Eve. Now let's go to Corinthians, where it speaks about this. 1 Corinthians 14 verse 34. Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. So Paul is not doing his own thing and making a temporary commandment for a season because women are prostituting and coming in deceiving the men. No, he's pointing back to the law that preceded him. What law? Genesis 3:16, in which Eve was commanded to be under obedience to Adam. You understand? So that law was way from the beginning, and it still stands now in 2025. You understand? So you so-called Christians, I'm telling you, y'all don't believe the Bible. You women, y'all need to sit down.